Chapter 4. "Don't worry," said Marcia with a grin. "We haven't lost yet." "What do you mean we haven't lost yet? With 4 flat tires and only a hand pump, how do you expect us to win now?" Malcolm yelled. "Lucky for you," Marcia said as she reached behind her seat, "I brought this along." She pulled out the gym bag. "Marcia," Malcolm shouted, "this is no time to be kidding around." He was getting really mad. "What we need now is an air pump, not your silly old gym bag." Marcia pulled several cans of canned air out of the gym bag. "See, all the air we need is right here, in these cans," she said. She handed the cans to Malcolm. "Oh, canned air," Malcolm said. "So isn't that good enough?" "Why didn't you tell me you had this?" he asked as he filled up the right tire in the rear. Marcia sighed and threw up her hands. "I was trying to tell you," Marcia explained, "but you were too busy yelling to hear what I was saying." "Well, maybe I was a bit hard on you. Here, why don't you do one of the tires?" Malcolm pointed to the front of the car. "And just wait until I tell the judge of the race about this. Those guys will be thrown out of the car club for good." Malcolm added. He started filling the next tire. "How can we tell the judge if we aren't even sure which one of them did it?" asked Marcia. "It could be Sammy or Chico. The only way we would know for sure is if we saw it happen. It wouldn't be right to accuse anyone unless we're sure," she added. "I guess you're right," said Malcolm, "but it doesn't matter anyway. Both of them are so far ahead of us by now we'll never catch up." After Malcolm finished filling up the last tire with air, they got back on the road again. As they drove, they could see that they were coming into a huge valley. For 2 hours, there were no trees or shrubs, just flat, sandy earth that went on forever in all directions. "So this is Death Valley. I hope the car can take the heat out here," Marcia said. "The engine's temperature gauge is already a bit high." "I know," Malcolm said as he looked at the gauge on his dashboard. A funny noise came from under the hood of the car. He tried to ignore it, hoping it was nothing. But 10 minutes later, Malcolm knew something was wrong. "The engine is overheating," he said. "The gauge is all the way to the top." They quickly pulled off to the side of the road. Malcolm cut the engine. Then he poured some water from a bottle into a cup for a drink. He jumped out of the car and sat down on the sand. Marcia could tell he was really upset. She got out of the car and stood next to him. Now that she was out of the moving car, she realized just how truly hot it was. "Now I know how the car feels. I don't think I've ever been so hot in my whole life," Marcia said. She looked over at the car. "I'd better check out the problem and fix it, or we'll never win," muttered Malcolm. "Can't we just let the car cool down for a while? This is a serious situation," said Marcia. "It's not just overheating," said Malcolm. "The car was making a funny sound when we pulled over. I'll get to it in a second," said Malcolm, without looking up. "But I'm way too hot and thirsty to stand over the engine right now. I need a water break." "Well, I don't know about you, but I don't feel like being stranded out in this desert," said Marcia. "We haven't seen another car since we left the restaurant. That was an hour and a half ago. Who knows how long it will be before another car finds us if we can't fix the Mustang. I'm going to take a look," she added. Marcia walked back to the car. She popped the hood open and looked at the engine for a moment. "Come on, Malcolm, even I can fix this," she yelled. "It's a broken fan belt. It's a piece of cake to fix." "Wrong," mumbled Malcolm. I don't have a new fan belt. Jim was supposed to bring replacement parts. I forgot to get them when I found out he wasn't coming." "No problem," said Marcia. She walked to the side of the car to get her emergency kit. "I've got one right here." But as Marcia reached into the back of the car, she heard a strange rattling sound near her feet. Marcia looked down to see a deadly rattlesnake coiled near the right back tire. Its mouth was open. The tip of its tail whipped back and forth in a blur. The snake's poison-filled fangs were headed right for her ankle. "Malcolm!"